Okay, going on with part two of this intro to Access. Um, sorry, I just realized how bad my voice sounds. I've got this allergies have been kicking me lately, so um, we'll muddle through this. But anyway, okay, so what we're going to do is in this video, we're going to create the first two things that I talked about. We're going to create a table and we're going to create a report. So the first thing we need to do when we're talking about creating a table is a way that we, sorry about that. A table is a way that we take our data and chop it up into pieces, like how we want to look at data. And the way you do this is you try to figure out later on how you're going to be creating queries to pull this data out. As an example, the last video I showed you, we were searching for chairs on Amazon, and we were able to look at different aspects of chairs, like the description. Was it an office chair, or was it a dining room chair, or whatever? What was it made of? Was it made out of wicker? Was it made out of plastic? Was it made out of leather? How much did it cost? And what we searched for was between 50 and 100 bucks. And then finally, it was like, how many stars did it get? So each of these things is separated in the table. So, in other words, somewhere out there, there's a chair that's listed. This kind of office chair made out of leather that costs between 50 and 100 bucks that has 4 or more stars. Each of those things are listed so that I can create a query to pull this data out. If I had a database that listed students, which is what we're going to create later on, maybe I want to create a database that I can look and pull out people that have a psychology major. So that tells me that I'm going to need to have a field that lists major that I can punch in psychology. Or maybe I want to see how many students do I have that travel to class from Indiana. So I would need to have a field that has state, so I could pull that information out. How many people have more than 20 credit hours? So I need to have a field that lists credit hours. So when you're creating a table, you kind of, one of the things you have to figure out is how you want to chop this data up. So we're going to create a table, and we're going to create a table that's just going to list students. So it's just going to pretend that we're going to create a table that's based on our class. It's going to be really simple, really basic. It's going to only have like 10 fields in it. So we're going to chop this data up into like 10, actually 11 fields. I forgot about one. So we're going to have these 11 fields are how I want to chop up the data. So the first thing we need to do, and this is where Access gets weird from the get-go. Normally when we were in Word and Excel and we get into PowerPoint, you can create the entire document. Type, create the whole thing, and have never saved it until the very end. And then you give it a name and you say where you want to save it. For Access, it's going to be a little bit different. Access, you actually give the database a name, and then you say where you want to save it, and then you can go through and edit it. So this is going to be where things get a little wonky from the get-go. So I've opened up Access, and it takes me to this screen. And what I want to do is I want to create a blank database. So I'm going to click on that, and as soon as it does, it takes me to this, which is kind of the thing that we're used to seeing at the end. What do we want to call this, and where do we want to save it? But this time we have to do it at the very beginning. So we're going to call this my first data. Once I learn to type, my first database, and I'm going to save this just to my desktop. Let's see, and then desktop. Okay, and then create. So over here on my desktop, I have a link for my first database. Alright, so that takes us to this. And when you get to here, you might kind of think this thing looks a little bit like Excel. It doesn't. It's not anything like Excel. Put that out of your head. The book is going to show you a couple of different ways to create a table. I'm going to show you what I think is the easiest to understand for this class. There's other ways to create tables, but as far as this class goes, I think this is the best way because you're going to fix things as you need to. So, like I said, I wanted to create a table that's based off of the people in this class. So, put this over here. So I created just this little spreadsheet just so it kind of lists what we're going to do. So we're going to create, actually I need to create one more. I'm going to insert another field here. Insert, and we're going to call this student ID. I'm going to give it space. I'm going to make both of these auto numbers. Alright, so we've got these 10 fields that we're going to get from student ID, last name, first name, middle initial, street address, city, state, post or zip code, major, and hours complete. So these are the 10 fields that we're going to use, these right here. So these are our descriptions, so this is what we're talking about, the student ID. This is the name that we're going to give the field. So this is something that we know. We're going to call the student ID field SID, S-I-D, student ID. The last name field L name, last name. The first name field F name, first name. These are the size. Now, some of these don't necessarily have a size. The auto number, we'll discuss that in a second. And the hours complete, it's a number, so your size is going to vary. And this is the kind of field that this is. So again, this is going to be an auto number field, and this is going to be a number field. The rest of these are going to be text. And you'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. Okay, so these are the 10 fields that we're going to create. And we're going to create them here. Now, when we're in, there are two different views that we look at when we're doing things in Access. There is like normal view of whatever it is that we're looking at, and then there is design view. So like normal view of a table is this, and this is what's called data sheet view. Why they just call it table view, I don't know, but this is what's called data sheet view. And then we can also go into design view. Now, the thing to remember about this, for this class, just remember this, there's this little button up in the corner that's just like a triangle, a pencil, and a ruler. And if I click that, if I click this, let's click the down arrow first, it lets me choose the different views. So here's design data sheet view, which is what I'm in. I want to go to design view. I click this. Now the first thing it's going to ask me to do is give this table a name. So we're going to call this the student table. And so this is, so now we've created this table called student table. And from here we can start creating these fields. Now, one of the things that Access wants you to do is to give every table a unique identifier. They call it a primary key. A primary key is something that separates one field from the next field, that even if everything else in the field is the same, the primary key will be different. Example, you may have two people living in the same house, same address, with the same name. So you have like Fred Smith and then his son, who's also named Fred Smith. Maybe they separate as a junior, maybe not. But they have two Fred Smiths living in there. Fred Smith 1, Fred Smith 2, both of them have the same street address, both of them have the same phone number. They're pretty much identical, depending on what fields we're looking at about these people. I mean, maybe we don't have anything like age, which would tell us the difference between the two. So we need something that we can look at that's going to say this person is different from this person. So the one thing that Fred's and Fred's son both have that are unique identifiers that separate two are social security numbers. Those two numbers are not identical. So With that, we can look at the social security number, use that as a primary key, and that will separate these two. Now I see that this video is just gone to 10 minutes, and so that's generally about the time I need to start saving it and upload. So I will be back with a third video. Maybe we can finish it in one more video. So I will talk to you soon.